Welcome to the My Class website project. In this Project Quickstart video, I'm going to introduce you to the website that you'll be creating. You're going to create a class website which will showcase all of your work. It's going to be responsive, and we're going to use real-life tools to make it. In this video, I will preview the website you will create. I'll introduce you to the main tool that we're going to use, a framework called Bootstrap. And most importantly, I'm going to explain to you what responsive web design is, often abbreviated RWD. Responsive web design is what you see every day when you go to the same website, but it appears different depending upon the device that you view it from. So right here, this is an example class website. This is mine, but yours is going to look a little different. At the top, you're going to have an About Me section, which talks about where you've been, what you do nowadays, and what you aspire to do in the future. Then you're going to create a reel carousel called My Favorite Things. Some of my favorite things: Chicago Cubs, playing the guitar, and the Oregon coast. You're going to be putting images and captions of your own. And lastly, you'll have a My Reflections section, where you'll write a brief reflection on all the different web pages that you'll create. At the top of the page, you'll notice that there's a series of menus. One will showcase all of the thimble projects you've completed, the X-ray goggle projects, and all the web pages that you'll be making. For example, we've got one called Code of the West. They're simple web pages, but they get you started with web design. Most importantly, your class website will be what we call responsive. Depending upon the properties of the device that it's being viewed upon, the website will change. It will respond. You're probably used to seeing this, what we call the hamburger menu, on your mobile phone. So when the website is very narrow, that means we're on a small device, like a mobile phone. But if the same website is being viewed on a home PC or medium-sized tablet, the layout changes to accommodate all the additional space. Luckily for us, we don't need to know all the details. Developers use what are called frameworks, tools like what we're going to use, Bootstrap, in order to make life easier. Bootstrap does all the heavy lifting for us, and so we can create a responsive mobile-first web project very easily without having to know all the ins and outs. What is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is the most popular framework for building mobile-first responsive websites. Bootstrap is built using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the same languages that you've been learning. Bootstrap is for everything, from the simplest to most complex website. And the idea is simple. Bootstrap gives you the tools that you need to write one page that responds fluidly to phones, tablets, desktops, and more. Bootstrap is a real-life industry tool used by real companies to build real websites, just like the ones you see here, from Lyft to Vogue to Newsweek. While it's nice to use a framework like Bootstrap, it's important that you understand what the framework's doing for you. To understand Bootstrap, you really need to understand responsive web design. The idea that we can have a single page that changes to accommodate the size of the device it's being viewed upon. Responsive web design means you have one code base that supports many devices. Sometimes these are called form factors, the different sizes of devices. There's three main techniques that comprise responsive web design: the use of fluid grid-based layouts, flexible images, and media queries written in CSS. Let's start with media queries. Media queries are rules or filters written in CSS that allow you to present a page differently based upon the viewing device's size. Let's take a look at an example. Here we have three different types of devices, and we have three media queries. Depending upon the expression that's satisfied, a different style rule is applied. So, if we're on a small device, the background color is red, a medium device, yellow, and a large device, green. Media queries often assume a mobile-first design, because that's the world we live in. But it's only one of the techniques that comprises responsive web design. Media queries are written to apply different styles to the different types of devices a website can be viewed upon. It changes the layout so that it responds to different popular breakpoints. Let's take a closer look at media queries. This is what a media query looks like. It has a media type and an expression. This expression needs to be satisfied in order for the rules to be applied. In this case, Any device that has a viewing area of at least 768 pixels will have its background color turned red. Let's take a look at a demo. Let's say I have a web page that has a completely empty body. Remember, media queries are written in CSS, so we need to go to our style sheet. The body is styled to have a yellow background color. But let's take a look at a media query. Let's say I have a media query that is satisfied if the viewing device is 768 pixels wide or greater. When I achieve that width, the background color changes. What about if I go larger? What if my viewing device is 992 pixels? Then I'm going to go green. So as you can see, as the device's width changes, different style rules are applied. This, in essence, is what makes responsive web design possible, the ability to change the layout based upon the device's size. Another component of responsive web design is the use of what are called fluid layouts. A fluid layout uses percentages rather than pixels to define how the space is allocated. This allows the web page to stretch and contract relative to the user's screen size. Normally, something called a grid system is used to implement a fluid layout. A grid system takes the available space of the page and carves it up into equal size columns and gutters. Those columns and gutters are combined into logical page areas. Then, media queries are used to change the layout to fit the size of the viewing device. Last but not least, responsive web design would not be possible without what are called flexible images. Flexible images refers to images that scale to the parent element that they're contained in. This allows images to size themselves dynamically to the size of the device that they're on. Once again, let's do a demo. Let me put an image in of invisible bike cat. It's a really big image. I'm going to copy and paste that in there. And here we are. Invisible bike cat. As you can see, the image is much bigger than the actual page itself. So I'm going to put it inside a generic div container. Take the image and place it inside the container. And I'm going to go ahead and put an ID on the div so I can style it. We're going to call it parent just for this demo. Okay, as you can see, nothing's changed yet. Now we're going to put in a style rule for that parent div. We're going to say that the parent is 80% the width of the page and that its height should be determined dynamically. Still, nothing changes. What makes flexible images happen are two style properties, max width and height equals auto. Now we have a class called flexible image. Let's put it on our image to see the effect. This style class will constrain the image to the parent that it's placed within. As you can see, now the image does not exceed the width of the parent. And as the page size changes, so does the image. If I were to change the parent, it would in turn change the image, the child. It's very common to have a parent that is 100% the width of the page and also the image as well. But you could change it, just like you see here. See how the image is fluid? This is integral to responsive web design. Now you have everything you need to start the My Class website project. In this video, we previewed the website you'll be making, we introduced you to a framework called Bootstrap, and we talked about responsive web design.